Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, got your story titled, I heard my wife and her partner insulting me during SEX, and I'm seriously questioning our future together. And guys, this story is about a guy. He's 36 years old, his wife is 40, and for the last 10 years they've been doing an open marriage. And as you can probably imagine, he's going to find out that the open marriage arrangement was a much better deal for his wife. Shocker. And one day, like the title says, he heard both of them talking crap about him, and that leads him down the path to eventually kicking her to the curb, which he certainly should. However, all this time he really thought that she was something amazing, a really amazing gal and all these qualities and everything, and he's going to learn, guess what, she's not so great. And of course, the meltdown follows and all that. And once again, a reminder that we're living in Sodom and Gomorrah 2.0, and these things do not work in the end. They may last a little while, even if both parties are on board, but eventually they tear people apart, and it's just a bad way to go. And at the end of the day, you want to have lots of partners, so be it, but don't be in a relationship, don't be in a marriage. And people only do that because they're selfish and want to have the old, as the expression is, a cake and eat it too situation. So this is a longer one, guys, but definitely an entertaining one. He says, I've been E&M with my wife for over a decade. We've had our ups and downs, but generally it's been great. E&M means ethically non-monogamous. Sure, dude. We have our rules, the most fundamental one being that even in the context of E&M, we would always operate on a bedrock foundation of mutual respect for each other and each other's partners. We never got hung up on the not in our bed nonsense. If my wife had a date, I'd rather she be in our own space where she feels safe and in control than where she knows I have access in case anything goes wrong. He lets her freaking open relationship lovers nail her in the bed he sleeps with her. You gotta be shitting me. We both take partners back to our home regularly. We have no kids, so there's no problem there. We had agreed that if one of us gets home and the other is there with a partner, then we don't disturb the date and just wait until it's over. We've also gotten off on listening to each other when this happens, which anyone we bring home is made fully aware of. Usually we all drink together afterwards. You telling me that after some dude is done plowing his wife, they kick back and have a beer afterwards? I mean, again, Sodom and Gomorrah 2.0. This moron deserves what he gets, but fortunately, he does learn a little bit later on. I got to my house and she was there with her long-term partner who's been in our lives for about 6 years at this point. They didn't know I was in the house and I started listening from the landing. Okay, dude. They were talking about me in an incredibly humiliating way. He would give her prompts asking her questions about how pathetic and useless I am. And she would agree about how I can't F-U-C-K, and I'm a shit husband, and she would agree and pile on with name-calling and degrading comments about me. Well, on the one hand, that's horrible of her to say of her husband. On the other hand, can you really blame her that this moron allows this to go on? Because obviously, this was her idea. You can just connect the dots there. So you can't blame her for having little respect for him, given what he allows, and they listen in and hang out and have some beers afterwards. He says, I know it's part of a power humiliation dynamic, but I don't care. I was effing furious. It's not an ego thing. I know I'm a good, attentive husband, and if I can allow myself a moment of conceit, I'm pretty damn good lay as well. I would never ever tolerate any partner of mine saying a bad word about my wife, and I would die before I participate in anything that humiliates her, even if she's not there. Well, I do believe that. At no point in our ethical non-monogamy journey, really going to call it journey, did I consent to being the object of my wife's derision and disrespect when she's on a date, especially with her closest and longest running partner. I walked into the bedroom, big no-no, and told him to get the F out. My wife was livid and said, no, he's not going anywhere. But I put my foot down and kicked him out of the house. The fact that she's taking his side over the husband, aside from everything she was saying, tells me everything I need to know. Remember, pay attention to a woman's actions. We had a massive fight. She told me I was being a huge pussy. I told her she doesn't respect me, and some harsh words were said from both sides. Well, she doesn't respect him. That was on Tuesday night, and we haven't spoken since. I certainly won't be the first to make contact, and she's been staying at his place all week. which is a major violation of our ground rules, but I also broke them by kicking him out. You had every reason to kick him out. They started the bullshit first. And of course she's going to break the rules, and you're going to see later on many, many more rules were broken on her side. For 13 years, I've worshipped the ground she walks on. Smack! There you go. And that is exactly why they're doing the open relationship thing, and she doesn't respect him, because when a guy worships the ground a woman walks on, how does it usually work out for him? Not too well. And I refuse to accept the way they talk about me, even in the heat of the moment. It's not right, and I won't stand for it. Well, it isn't right, and you shouldn't stand for it. But you set yourself up for this treatment by agreeing to such a dumbass type of arrangement. It's really put the future of our marriage into question. Really? That, amongst all the other things? Because I won't move forward with him still in the picture, and that will cause a volcanic amount of friction. She really likes him and has known him for almost half the time she's been with me. Then she should just divorce you and be with him, end of story, and go your separate ways. It would severely disrupt our system, and I know she would resent me for it. But I also know I will resent her if he stays. I feel steadfast in this, but I appreciate a sanity check before I make any drastic moves. Really? He's asking for a sanity check from people, and by putting this story out in the world? Okay, before I move on to part 2, dude, you're an idiot. You're an idiot for allowing this all this time. Even with her since you were 23 years old. He started with her when he was 23, and he's 36, she's 40. And obviously this was her idea. And yeah, he's getting some, but I guarantee you, the amount of lovers he's had versus the amount she's had, night and day. And I'm willing to bet you plenty of dough that she does way more stuff with her lovers than she does with this guy. A woman doesn't respect you, she won't love you, and she'll treat you accordingly. You can see through her actions. Part 2. He says, my wife came home last night and we had a very long talk and incredibly difficult conversation. She texted me yesterday and asked if I was okay with me if she came home after work. I said it's her home too, and that I've been waiting for her for 3 days. There's no way I could go through everything that was said, so I'll just summarize what I feel are my biggest takeaways. Basically, there was some good and bad, and we're taking baby steps on cracking the ice. Well, I noticed he didn't contact her, and eventually she broke down and contacted him. And that's a good way to go. And you'll see how she behaves when she comes back. As soon as she walked in the door and saw me, she broke down and started apologizing for what they said, for what she said afterwards, and leaving all of it. The shit talk about me has been going on for nearly 2 years. Started around the time of COVID, lockdowns, and they were relaxing, so we could see our friends with benefits again. She had told him she missed him during the SEX the first time they met back, and he told her, yeah, because all she's had in the lockdown is me, and it escalated from there. They don't do it regularly, just from time to time, and that she was mortified that I had heard it. What he's talking about is COVID happened, there were lockdowns, they didn't get to see their little playmates, and her lover obviously was jealous of this guy, and her lover, by the way, is in love with her, which you'll find out soon enough, and talking shit about him because he's jealous. She said she never means any of this stuff, but it turns him on, and the SEX is better as a result. Yeah, sure. This woman's a pathological lie. I can't believe a goddamn thing she says. The dude has major insecurities, apparently, and she's taken upon herself to make him feel more like a man, and she never thought I'd ever hear or be hurt by it. The way she phrased it was that when they shit talk like that, it pretty much tends to be around stuff that he doesn't feel he measures up against. And she always knows it's false and has never spoken a bad word about me outside the headspace. Sure. She's just doing this and apologizing because this guy showed balls by having the fight, yelling at her, and not contacting her. And she wants to certainly make sure she keeps her good situation here with him paying the bills and being her husband so she can go play. And she's saying anything she has to say to keep him from, divorcing her. Her initial burst of anger when I barged in the bedroom, she says, came from a place of extreme embarrassment and shame. I should note that while we do get off on listening, we never watch each other. We tried a few times, but there's something about the visual that rubbed us both the wrong way, so we stopped. Oh, you mean it's actually bothersome to see your wife with some other dude's you-know-what in her mouth. Gee, what a thought. So for her, when I walked in, it was kind of like a parent busting in on you doing something to some effed up porn. It is also true that when I walked in, he did have her in a very vulnerable position, performing a humiliating SEX act on her, so I can see how that made her erupt in shame. Well, dude, don't leave us hanging. We want to know what position she was in, what she was doing to him. I have a few good ideas involving her tongue. Upon reflection, it may be also possible that seeing her in that compromised position added to my own anger that moment as well. She was also feeling embarrassed on behalf of the guy, that she wasn't able to provide a safe place for him, and blamed me in the moment for embarrassing them both. This also fueled her defensiveness afterwards and her refusal to back down or concede anything. It made her feel like a WHORE, apparently, because that's how she acts. Come on here. She apologized unreservedly for not acknowledging my feelings on the night and for not apologizing straight away. She regrets the things she said during our big fight and that I was totally right to feel the way I did, and she was just feeling humiliated and cornered, but that she knows I must have felt even worse. Really took her a whole week to figure this out? I guarantee you, if he reached out to her first to contact her to settle this issue, she wouldn't be saying any of this stuff. But she knows in the moment he has the upper hand. I asked her if she loves him. Of course not, she says. They have great sexual chemistry and she cares about him a lot, but they would never be compatible in real life, and not once has she ever contemplated a future with him. Well, probably because he can't take care of her in the same way this guy does. He can take care of her in the bedroom, but that's it. It somehow upset her that I would think that. However, she confessed that she has known for over a year that he has been in love with her since at least before the pandemic. Well, there you go. That's a fucking problem. Part of this hookup culture, this type of lifestyle, as I know he's fallen in love with each other. But guess what? Good luck with that happening. People are going to get feelings one way or another. He tells her frequently, but she never says it back. She said it made their time together more intimate and enjoyable, and since she knew she could never reciprocate his feelings, it wasn't a threat. She made it clear to him plenty of times that a future between them wasn't in the cards. This part has been really difficult for me to process. She's telling everything she thinks you need to hear. This guy isn't getting the whole picture, I can guarantee it. And let's be honest, I read this whole thing, so I know how this thing goes. She said they would stop that kind of talk going forward. I said, not good enough. I want him out. She started crying and said she feared I would want that, but hoped I wouldn't. Well, of course she was crying. She asked if there's any way they might be able to continue. I said that she can hang out with him all she wants, but she'll be doing that as a single woman. Nice job, this guy's getting his man card back. She cried, but she agreed to break things off. She asked if they can meet up one more time because they never got the chance to say goodbye. I agreed on the condition they leave me out of it, and she makes it clear to him that will be the last time they ever speak. Any further contact of any kind after that will be the end of us. Define one more goodbye. Is this or one more time to say goodbye? Is it like a goodbye hookup, or just they meet in the parking lot of Target and say goodbye? Something tells me it's not going to be that smooth. I wouldn't agree to that. I wouldn't agree to this whole ridiculous thing. He goes on, he says, I should also note that in our subsequent fight that night, at one point I did say something like, well, why don't you just F off to his place then? In a rhetorical way that you sometimes do in a heated argument. And in a moment of pettiness, she said, fine, I will, and packed a bag and went. She spent the first night with him out of spite, but they did not have SCX, and she would not have stayed any further nights, except he went away for work, so she had his place to herself. Yeah, I'm sure they weren't hooking up. Their sole relationship is based on hooking up, but not during that week. Out of pride, she was holding out and waiting for me to make contact before coming back, just as I was. See? He held his cards longer, and she caved. We had to take around a half-hour break when I told her I had gone as far as making an appointment with an attorney for next week. Nice job, man. She was probably shitting herself then. She didn't handle that well at all and had a severe panic attack. And the Golden Globe goes to the wife for putting on the big panic attack show. She realizes, oh crap, my sweet deal of being married to this sucker and him paying for everything while I F other dudes is crumbling. So I gotta cry and put on a panic attack. She said she never imagined that would ever be in the cards, and that she would have come home days ago, as she thought I was even remotely thinking about that. That she can't imagine a life without me. She can't imagine a life without him paying the bills. Finally, I asked her how I'm supposed to believe the things she's been telling me if she's full of crap. She said she promises she's being truthful, and she's never broken a promise to me before. Yeah, whatever. So I'm inclined to mostly believe her explanations, but there's a lot of things I need to work through, process, ask about, and convince myself of. Dude, don't fall for it. She's full of crap. Get out now. We decided we would close the marriage for a couple months to focus on our own relationship and then reassess. I've canceled my meeting with the lawyer and we're going to go to counseling. Any suggestions on how to find an E&M-friendly therapist would be helpful. Oh, for God's sakes. She offered to close her side unilaterally and let me keep seeing my partners, but this is about both of us. Wow, she is desperate. I'm not interested in having her punish herself for the sake of it. I still have to figure out, number one, if I really fully believe what she told me, and two, if I'm satisfied to continue. I'll take our time while we're closed to make up my mind. It'll be tough, but I'm willing to at least try and work it out. I've been steeling myself for divorce all week, so that's the mind I've set myself in. And I acknowledge that I owe at least to the relationship to see, and we give it a try. So I was doing we've been together so long, let's see if we can try it out through the therapy thing. But here's the thing. A lot of times in therapy, a lot of very ugly things come out. And as you're going to see in the following parts, well, that's just the case. Which leads to the final, how this thing ends. He says, a lot of you in the comments have been asking why I would ever allow one final date between them, especially a private one. I've given some explanation replies, but I felt it would be worth expanding on. Believe me, I consider a lot of the same things you mentioned. Why would she ever want to? Does she really not love him? It's only adding to the disrespect, etc. The main reason I'm agreeing to it counterintuitively to give our marriage the best chance going forward. I don't want there to be always a chip in her head of the I wish we had our last day thing, on top of whatever resentment she might already feel from having to break up. If she's going around resenting you because you made her break up with the guy that was effing her, even though you're her husband, that's yet another reason to end this ridiculous arrangement. I'm only doing this under the strict understanding that any more BS or any more contact after this whatsoever, an immediate guillotine to our marriage. No trial, no appeal, just summary execution right then and there. There's no way I could have made it more clear to her, so the ball is in her court. Yeah, well, putting the ball in a woman's court, letting her take the lead is always a bad idea. Now, listen to this. In a moment, he's going to suddenly, you can tell, go through a roller coaster of emotions and start trying to find reasons why she's so wonderful. And you're going to want to barf when you hear this in a moment. He says, underpinning my decision, though, I have to admit that the past week I've been painting myself a light shade of apathy. My mind has been so focused on the divorce process and life after marriage that the prospect is less scary to me. Logically, I should have been furious that she even asked to see him one more time. But honestly, I just didn't care. Well, the fact that you don't care says everything. You're indifferent. And there's no love there. If it helps you move on, go for it. It seems I'm the only one more mentally prepared for divorce than you are, so if you want to blow it again, go for it. I'm ready. Type it. That type of thing. I should also mention that I insisted we wait to close our marriage until after we have had a chance to be with our other partners as well. Don't know if that's good or bad. Maybe it's bad, but not only does that give me a chance to meet my friends with benefits one last time, for God knows how long, but it also means that this memory is diluted. He won't be the last guy she gets before we hibernate. Maybe that's petty or counterproductive, but F him. They're meeting up tomorrow, and she's made it clear to him that this will be the last time. Yeah, sure. If she wants to violate that pledge or any other, then I'm already 3 to 4 steps ahead of her on the other side, so I'm just not even scared it will backfire. And wait till you see what happens when this guy is told he can't see his little F bunny anymore. Part 3. I didn't really plan to write another update, but a bunch of you have DM'd me asking what has been happening. First, we found a ethically non-monogamy friendly therapist with some really good references. So we're going to see her 4 times so far, which said was pretty insane schedule, and that usually doesn't recommend, but we did weekly and bi-weekly appointments. But that given the crisis we were in, we would benefit from more frequent sessions in the short term and saving our arguments and fights and discussions for our sessions with her so things don't get out of hand. Well, things are going to get out of hand. We're officially closed now. Closed marriage. We both saw who we needed to see, and it's just the two of us. The therapist said 2 months was nowhere near long enough, so we closed indefinitely for now. And we'll see down the line if we can open back up. Are you out of your mind? You're going to get back to the same thing that caused this problem to begin with? My wife's friends with benefits didn't take the split well. He came to the house to talk to me and try to change my mind, but I wouldn't open the door to him. He actually showed up and had the conversation, I really want to keep effing your wife. I ended up calling the cops after he started getting aggressive. He's out of the picture now, and even better news is that he was too upset to even consummate the last meeting of theirs. So they were going to hook up. This guy's nuts. His last memory of SEX, my wife, is me busting in on him, and now he has to live with that. On our third therapy session, it was really brutal. She came clean about a bunch of stuff that really shocked me, maybe even more than the whole insult thing. She'd been breaking ground rules pretty much left and right for the thrill of it. Imagine that. She's not as sweet and nice and wonderful as he once thought, and she's been breaking all the rules as she no doubt set all along. Now listen to this. Often in really specific and deliberate and pretty hurtful ways. My trust in her is pretty much non-existent right now, and regardless of therapy, I've given myself until the end of the year to begin feeling some trust in her again. Otherwise, I don't see much of the point going on. I'm struggling with bitterness due to the fact that I'm trying to save my marriage means I'll likely lose other relationships with people special to me, and all I could be for no reason in the end. Right now, it's just one step at a time. Not much more to do than fight through it, but I am a fighter. P.S. None of you warned me how goddamn expensive therapy is, but you best believe it's coming out of the joint account. Yeah, this guy shouldn't be paying for it all. He says here, as a little edit here, hey folks, I know that obviously this is a really bad situation and she's done a lot wrong, but I should explain a bit about why I'm willing to fight for it and why I'd rather not see people denigrate her in the replies. Despite everything I've explained in these posts, we're talking about a truly incredible woman. She's warm, she's loving, she's kind, she's so intelligent, and she's so fierce. Smack! Dude, she's an asshole. She has completely bullshitted you and blinded you to who she really is. And didn't you just say some pretty bad stuff came out in the therapy? And there'll be more coming out to obviously make him change his mind. She's always been the first to help whoever needs it. Is that what he calls it? The last to leave when more still needs to be done. She takes care of her family. She's hilarious with a wicked sense of humor. She's adventurous. She loves life. She loves to laugh, and she doesn't suffer fools. She's also incredibly gorgeous. I mean, like actual magazine cover stunning. And it can be a bit off color. She can hook up like an Olympus thunder over the waves. She's been the love of my life, and she's made life-changing mistakes. But if there's any way to go back to what we had, I'm prepared to slog through the pain to get there. Dude, you're out of your mind. Obviously, he's having second thoughts about the whole thing. He's convincing himself and the world that she's a much better person. You just don't know her. Yeah, actually, we do. We can tell through her actions who she really is. And now, part 4, where ethically non-monogamy guy finally sees her true colors and kicks her to the curb. It says here, hi everyone, just one final update here. We tried our best, but unfortunately it has not worked out. Gee, this is a surprise. I haven't been able to get past it. There's no more trust anymore. There's fondness, but I don't know if I can even call it love anymore. Then it's over. She's pretty devastated, which I don't take any pleasure in. At least I'm doing a pretty decent job of letting go of any anger, and therapy has helped a lot for that. Maybe it was just our relationship impact. Maybe if it was just our relationship impacted, we might have been able to make it work. But it has a ruinous effect on a number of other relationships as well, and an impact on my life beyond just my marriage. Among other things, she has sought out and slept with a couple of my close friends and a work subordinate of mine. There you go. Remember he said things were coming out in therapy? She was breaking ground rules, stuff like that. There you go. I'm pretty sure that there was a rule saying you can't hook up with friends, co-workers, and even subordinates. I mean, people that under you, it makes someone that works under him. I mean, come on here. She was deliberately, through her actions, of course, disrespecting this guy because she had no respect for him. Mr. I kissed the ground that she walked on, or some damn thing there. Those friendships, which I've had for decades, are now over, and that person at work has been let go. All of it is having a knockdown effect on other parts of my personal and work life. It's not something I can get over. The separation and divorce will at least be amicable. It won't be a battling out in the courts. We've already agreed on a division of assets that we both agree is fair. Luckily, neither of us have had to rely financially on the other while we've been together. And thank God they don't have any kids together. I decided after the divorce is finalized, I'll have no more contact with her whatsoever. I need a clean break. There you go. One silver lining is I've been able to meet back up with a couple of my partners from here and had a grand old time. I made the mistake of saying, generally, with no bad intention, that at least now she can meet back up with her other guy again. She didn't take it that way, or that way, and I meant it, and thought I was having a dig at her, and we had a big fight, but it's smoothed over. Notice she is not going to get back with him, probably because she's a typical chattered Tyrone that can definitely plow her well, but he certainly doesn't make any good money that can take care of her and give her the lifestyle that she likes. In any event, it's on to the next adventure now. May enjoy single life for a while. I think after all this, you should enjoy single life for a very long time. I've still got a good chunk of my youth left, and fortunately, I still look like it. I'll take my wins whenever I can get them. I'm in mourning, but also excited about what life has in store. One major thing is that she never wanted to be a parent, and I did before we got married. The prospect of fatherhood is open to me again, and that's really life-affirming. Onward and upwards. So guys, in that whole crazy story there, once again, proving this whole thing doesn't work. Whatever you want to call it, polyamory, open marriage, ethical non-monogamy, it's all the same thing, and it's all a bunch of crap. And it all ends the same way. Bad idea. And again, that part when he was talking about all these nice things about her, like he was trying to convince himself to maybe like save the marriage, and then he finds out that she was hooking up with his close friends and a guy that worked under him. I mean, and she was upset because he was making her feel like a WHORE, which in fact she was. It's a terrible idea. And remember, women don't bring this up with guys they respect. They bring it up with guys they have no respect for. They got together when he was 23 because it's been 13 years, and they've been having this thing going on for 10. My interpretation is she probably could tell right away this guy was way more into her in the relationship than she was, because she's gorgeous and probably the best thing he ever had. She could have her way with him. And sure, during this open marriage thing that he got the hook up too, but we all know darn well it was a way better deal for her. And look how she was talking about him and through her actions showing how she felt about it. It's terrible. The thing is, I'm guessing this nincompoop will probably do the same thing down the road with another gal. But we shall see. But again, thank the Lord they didn't have kids, because kids should never be brought into something like this. And I've heard stories, and the kids are screwed up. Anyhow, they're both morons, but at least this guy got a little good sense in the end, and we can all learn from that and be entertained. Alright guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below, let me know what you think about this. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.